Year 3, it's Miss Hendy here. I hope you are all well. I've just noticed that the date is incorrect there, so I'm just going to change it for you. It's Thursday and we're on to lesson 3 of Mrs. Armitage on Wheels. So I'd like you to press pause, please. Write today's short day and vipers, putting a circle around the I for infer. So the vipers, do a quick recap. We have V for vocabulary, I for infer, P for predict, E for explain, R for retrieve, and S for summarize. And today's focus is infer. Now, inferring is basically when we make our own conclusions of what's happened in the text based on the clues that are given to us. So, for example, if I was talking about a character and I said, as they entered the room, they dropped their head. They walked slowly towards me with their shoulders drooped. How do I think that character is feeling? Oh, I wouldn't infer that they were feeling happy because the clues that I've given don't infer that. So I would say maybe they're sad, ashamed, embarrassed about something, upset. Now, I didn't say my character was any of those things, but based on the shoulders being sloped, head down in the slow walking, they are clues, so we can infer how they're feeling based on the clues that are given to us. So our current text is Mrs. Armitage on Wheels by Quentin Blake. And just have a little think for a moment. What did you think would be included in Mrs. Armitage's toolbox? Let's find out. So page 10. So she got a toolbox with spanners and screwdrivers and hammers and cans of penetrating oil, and she fixed it onto the back of the bicycle and off she went. A quick vocabulary check. Penetrating oil is used to free up tough and rusted nuts and bolts, so the oil loosens up the nuts and bolts. By now, Mrs. Armitage was beginning to think about food. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is somewhere to carry a light snack. So she got a tray for apples and bananas and cheese and tomato sandwiches, and a holder for a bottle of lemonade and a flask of cocoa, and a special basket for bones and dog biscuits with Breakspear, and she fixed them all to the bike, and off they went. Sounds like a great snack. Page 13. But by now, poor Breakspear was feeling quite tired running along beside the bicycle. You could tell because his tongue was hanging out and he was panting. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is something for a faithful dog to ride on. Quick vocabulary check. Panting is breathing heavily when you're out of breath. So you imagine the dog's been running for quite a while and he's now out of breath, how he might be panting with his tongue hanging out and deep breaths. And faithful dog is a dog that's loyal to Mrs. Armitage, so it's always there for her. And they say that dogs are quite faithful and loyal pets. Page 14. So she got some iron brackets and some nuts and bolts and some cushions, and she made a seat for Breakspear, and off they went. With Breakspear there. They had stopped beside the road for some sandwiches and dog biscuits when it began to rain. Great heavens, said Mrs. Armitage. What this bike needs, Breakspear, is something to keep the rain off. What do you think she might add to keep some rain off? Let's find out. So she got 2 umbrellas, one large, one small, and she fixed them up on the bicycle and off they went. Riding through the rain, Mrs. Armitage began to feel rather downhearted. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is a bit of cheerful music. Quick vocabulary check. Downhearted means feeling sad. So she got a transistor radio cassette player and a lot of cassettes of cheerful music and a mouth organ so that she could join in. And she fixed them all to the bike and off they went. Mrs. Armitage was turning the pedals so fast and blowing the mouth organ so hard that soon she was nearly exhausted. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is a bit of extra oomph. So vocabulary check. Exhausted means really tired, and a transistor radio cassette player and cassettes is basically an old way of playing music. Miss Hendy doesn't like that because I had a cassette player and I like to think I'm not old. Basically, it was before CDs and iPods and phones. You get a tape, it was called, and it had a tape inside which would wind around, and you'd put it in the cassette player, and that's how you'd play music. So before we move on to our questions, what I'd like you to do, just a quick vocabulary task, is order these and rank them to show them the least tired to the most tired of what you think. Now, there's not going to be one perfect answer for this, so just have a think. What do these words mean? Which one shows the least tired and which one's the most tired? So we have weary, worn out, sleepy, fatigued, or exhausted. Okay, let's have a little look at what you've got and what I think it might be. So I think weary is probably the least tired, along with sleepy. They're not very tired. Then I would say worn out and exhausted, and I almost say fatigued would be along with exhausted, maybe more. It depends how you use it in the sentence, really. Okay, on to our questions. Question number 1 is on page 11. How can you tell that Mrs. Armitage was beginning to feel hungry? How can we tell that Mrs. Armitage was beginning to feel hungry on page 11? So this is this text here. Question number 2. Find and copy a group of words that show that the dog was feeling tired. So on page 13, to find and copy a group of words to show that the dog was feeling tired. Question number 3, page 15. How can you tell that Mrs. Armitage is surprised by the rain? You can see part of the answer then. How can you tell that Mrs. Armitage is surprised by the rain? So here is page 15. How can you tell she's surprised by the rain? Question number 6, page number 16, question number 4. Why does Mrs. Armitage need a large and a small umbrella? Why does she need both? And remember, this is a picture book, so there's a little bit of a clue. So the pictures add to the text. So why does she need 2 umbrellas, one big and one small? Why does she need them? And finally, question number 5, page 19. Find and copy a group of words that show Mrs. Armitage was getting tired and fed up. So here on page number 19, find and copy a group of words that show that Mrs. Armitage is beginning to feel tired and fed up. Okay, are we ready for the answers? So question number 10, question number 1, how can we tell she's beginning to feel hungry? She was beginning to think about food. Question number 2, find and copy a group of words that show that the dog was feeling tired. His tongue was hanging out and he was panting. Question number 3, how can you tell that Mrs. Armitage is surprised by the rain? She says, "Great heavens!" Page 16, question number 4. Why does Mrs. Armitage need a large and a small umbrella? Well, of course, one for herself and one for Breakspear, her dog. So one for her and her dog's fine. And page 19, question number 5. Find and copy a group of words that show Mrs. Armitage was getting tired and fed up. She was nearly exhausted. Okay, so mark this with your purple pen or any colour pen that you're using. And just for the final task, I would like you please to make a prediction. What do you think Mrs. Armitage will add to the fight to give it some oomph? What do you think she's going to add to it? Okay, and that's it for today. So make that final prediction. I hope you've all enjoyed the text so far. I'm looking forward to finishing it with you tomorrow. Take care, Year 3. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.